So my friend Steven Crowder has now been suspended from Twitter for violating its hateful conduct terms. He's apparently also been suspended from YouTube, which is insane, right? So now they posted a South by Southwest video of Sven Computer infiltrating a gender-fluid panel, and Twitter suspended Steven's account. So they've said that he needs to delete the tweets that violate the rules. They've suspended the account for 12 hours. Okay, here's what Crowder's website is saying. Here's what we think happened. The original video that went out didn't have the word bleep. It's the F word for gay people. Soft bleeped. The original video was immediately pulled from YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook as the studio team added bleeps for the offensive content. After the bleeps were added into the video, the studio re-uploaded the South by Southwest undercover video back to YouTube and Facebook. When Not Gay Jared shared the video with the bleeps added and information blurred, he was also suspended, which means Twitter didn't find the word offensive. They found the general concept of the video offensive. So what exactly is the video? So apparently the video is Sven Computer, right, a fake character who is forced to crash an LGBTQ gender nonconformity meetup at South by Southwest. Okay, this tape has now been removed from YouTube. It's just a comedy video, right? It's typical Crowder, right? Crowder's the guy who does Tranny Bane, right? This is his shtick. He's a comedian. Comedians do lots of stuff that walks right up to the edge and sometimes crosses over the edge. This is a reason that you're going to be banned from Twitter, suspended from Twitter. Louis Farrakhan is tweeting openly. And Louis Farrakhan is tweeting openly anti-Semitic crap on Twitter every single day. He has not been suspended. And his counterparts on the right, people like Richard Spencer, who I even hesitate to call of the right, Richard Spencer, who is sort of the white version of Louis Farrakhan in reverse, right? Richard Spencer has been suspended from Twitter. I don't think he's on Twitter anymore. I think he's been banned from Twitter. The same thing holds true of Milo Yiannopoulos. Now, I'm not in favor of any of these people being banned from Twitter, even though I despise all of them. But I think that it is completely absurd that Steven is getting knocked off these platforms because Steven happens to be a conservative comedian, where if you were a left-wing comedian and you said exactly the same words about Christians, everything would be totally fine. If you said the same words about Jews, everything would be totally fine. This double standard that exists in social media is really dangerous. It's one of the reasons why Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Google, all of these outlets seem to be targeting conservative content right now. Conservatives better get on their horse. I mean, we better start building some of our own outlets, because the reality is that if we don't build some open thread outlets, if we don't build some open source outlets that allow people to post what they want to post with some very, very minute restrictions, then the left will simply castigate everything as hate speech.
1-8-Prager-776. This is the Dennis Prager Show. There is a great force for good named Steven Crowder. He is the host of Louder with Crowder. It's streamed on YouTube and CRTV. And he is taking his show to SMU next week, March 22nd. I just spoke at SMU last week. And he's going to have, I pray, a great crowd. No pun intended, given his last name. Steven Crowder is funny, and Steven Crowder is bright, and Steven Crowder is conservative. And he's gutsy, which is the greatest of all. Is that a good enough introduction, Steve?
Well, thank you very much. And Steven Crowder is now in trouble because one Mr. Dennis Prager got me interested in cigars, and the wife's none too happy about it. So you can tack that on the list. But I'm having a grand old time.
All right, here is what I recommend in that regard. Your wife should speak to my wife.
Okay, I will set it up.
Yeah, there's no question about it. She will, I think, counsel her wisely, and things will be better in the Crowder home. Anyway, okay. I've been on your show a number of times. I love it. I enjoy it. I appreciate it. You are having a real impact. I know this because when I go from college to college, your name is one of the 2-3 names that's always mentioned to me when they speak of other people who's had an effect on them. So immediately, what is of concern to me is what is happening to you on Twitter.
Yeah, there's a lot that's been happening, YouTube, Twitter, and SMU. So let me kind of tie it all in, and if there are any gaps here, you can let me know, because as we know, the world of social media now can be pretty complicated. We went into South by Southwest. We did that last year. We went to a gender nonconformity meetup and sent in one of my interns, Sven Computer from Germany, who identified as a computer. So it was a funny gag, a hidden camera gag. Some people say, well, how constructive is this? What's the point? Listen, I have millions of plays on 2-hour-long videos where I sit down with people and argue life's most important issues. This was something that was funny. I host a late-night show. It was very funny. It immediately got removed from YouTube, and I was immediately suspended from Twitter, now for a week. And anyone, by the way, out there, I appreciate people who've tried to support me and re-upload it. Anyone who has re-uploaded this video or has liked this video has been suspended from Twitter. Now, here's the thing, Dennis. People talk about how it's a private platform. They can do whatever they want. That's true. They just can't be dishonest about what they do. Now, Twitter doesn't allow this video up, and they suspend anyone who even enjoys watching it, even though it's censored. It's less than a PG-13. It obeys single-party consent state laws. It doesn't violate their guidelines. But to tie it back to SMU, there is a lecturer at UT Arlington who has been actively trying to get my show canceled at SMU on the 22nd of March because he has been circulating false, libelous memes against me created by neo-Nazis online, which Twitter has allowed to stand on their profile. So the problem here is the inconsistency. Yeah, sure, we're a country of laws. Sure, Twitter, YouTube, they have guidelines. But are they applied consistently? And when they aren't, that's where you run into the problem. And that's what we're seeing right now.
I read the attack on you. This is a professor at SMU?
He's a lecturer at UT Arlington who is trying to, rally the social justice leftist troops to get me shut down from SMU.
He called you a Nazi, correct?
Yes, and the reason for that was he was posting screenshots. I, along with Ben Shapiro, have long been a target of the neo-Nazis. First off, they were mistaken that I was Jewish because I believe that Israel has a right to exist. Then when they found out that I wasn't Jewish, they created false, libelous memes, pictures of me with swastikas, quotes of me using racial epithets against the Jews, which I would never use, right? So these were fake, false pictures and quotes. These were on Twitter. I reported them to Twitter saying, hey, this isn't me. I don't have that tattoo. I didn't say that I love Hitler. I didn't praise the Holocaust. This is libelous and needs to be removed. Twitter manually reviewed them and said no, allowed those tweets to stay up. Some of them are still up. And this lecturer here in Texas is using them to try and get me banned from SMU. It's our big show on March 22nd. I know, it's hard to follow because it's so insane, isn't it, Dennis?
It's so frightening that this is going on in the United States of America that I can't even laugh. We'll be back with Steven Crowder in a moment. I'm Dennis Prager. If you don't know the name Steven Crowder, the odds are that you are, perhaps over 50, over 45 years of age. Completely understandable. And a lot of my listeners are, and I just need you to know that he is a household name among young people. There are a handful of people that are known as, especially among conservatives and young people, and he is one of them. His video cast, what do you call it? Your video cast? What do you call it, Stephen?
Well, thank you. First off, I hope the audio is better now. My phone line was giving me a bit of problems there. It's a late-night show. I grew up watching Carson and particularly early Letterman. My dad used to record early Letterman on VHS, and that way you could fast forward to the stuff I couldn't watch. So, yeah, people go to louderwithcrowder.com/mug club. They can sign up and watch the full late-night show every day, and we upload clips to YouTube every day. But, of course, not everything can go up there with the overlords at YouTube these days.
What is it, Louder with Crowder / what?
/mug club, and that's because it's a people join, they get a hand-etched mug, and they become a part of an elite group of late-night viewers, Dennis. And by the way, let me say, you are a household name with young people. I use you as an example a lot. A lot of the time, conservatives will say, we really need to get this kid because he's young to reach the young audience. Think about Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart wasn't young. David Letterman wasn't young. They were just relevant. And my audience tends to be pretty young on YouTube. And they love you every time they see you there. So it doesn't matter what age you are, as long as you're able to communicate effectively, as long as you're not a stick in the mud, and you're relevant. And a lot of young people love you. I get probably more feedback on interviews with you and Dr. Jordan Peterson than anybody else.
No, it's nice to hear. Not for ego reasons. It's nice to hear because of the age factor. Look, I have been speaking publicly since I was 21. And so I can truly measure that as effective as I hope I was in my first half of life as a speaker with young people, they are more attentive to me today now that I'm older. Young people there's a yearning in young people. I had it. It's built in. You want to respect someone who's older. Believe it or not, there is this yearning, and too few older people meet that yearning of younger people. They want to act as if they're 23, and that's another problem in society worth addressing. But anyway, thank you for mentioning that. But I want.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You're the Mr. Ultimate Issues. When I get you on the phone, I want to pick your brain. Let me ask you this: do you think it's because as you've gotten older, and I mean that respectfully, you're not old, but as you age like a fine wine, as it were, you've gotten more relaxed, you have less to prove. It's kind of like a tired boxer is more dangerous because he's loosened his punches, because he's willing to throw them. Do you feel like maybe you're more relaxed, and that's why you're better now than ever?
Yes, I do think I'm better now than ever. I think anybody who's good gets better over time until they become incapacitated physically, perhaps. But my point is that young people, I was simply echoing your point. Young people don't give a damn what your age is. If you have something to say that matters to them, they want to hear it. That's it. But there is a built-in advantage about being older. That I will grant too. So it's to your credit that you are a household name among so many young people. So this is all by way of explaining to people why I am speaking to someone that some of you above 40, let's say, or 45, are not familiar with, but you should be. He has terrific values. He's very funny. And he's very bright. That's a great combination. So it's Louder with Crowder / Mug Club. All right, that's fun.
Yes, Mug Club. I was inspired by actually being a member of the Monk Club at a local brewery pub in Michigan. Well, I appreciate the kind words, and I heard you had a fantastic show at SMU, and we're there the 22nd. It's a very different show. People come in. There's a light show. There's a stage show. There's live interaction, sketches. We couldn't get the T-shirt cannon for SMU. It wasn't allowed. It was considered a safety hazard. But it's really the party on campus that this is one thing I will say, regardless of age, Dennis. So many conservatives have done such a bad job with the packaging. And all that happened is, I'm young and I have a lot of mileage on me as far as career. I've been, acting professionally since 12, stand-up since 16, 17, and it's the only way I've ever made a living. So I've had drunks throw bottles at me, when I was 19 years old in Schenectady, New York, at an open mic. It was a rough time. So all that has kind of led up to when I was in college. The college Republicans back then, it was a Tucker Carlson lookalike convention. Everyone was trying to bump elbows with the senator's daughter, and they had their bow ties. And I was going, well, you know what? I'm conservative. I'm a Christian conservative. I have these values. And I watched late night, and I watched comedy, and I said, I just really wish I could watch some of this stuff out there and not feel like I'm being sucker punched just for being a conservative Christian all the time. And that's why we create the content that we do. And when we started, there was nobody doing it because we didn't know if there was an audience. And I'm so thankful that not only have we found an audience, and please, everyone in the Texas area, we don't do that many live shows on the 22nd at SMU, but I'm also grateful that people like you have, any respect for it at all. I had no idea how this was going to go. I'm not surprised that Twitter and YouTube are trying to ban us. We're taking legal action right now, but I have to curb it. I've always said this when I talk with you. There was a favorite fighter of mine, a guy named Georges St. Pierre, who fought in the UFC, and he lost his first title fight, against a guy named Matt Hughes. He lost it badly. Now he had 2 rematches, and he beat the tar out of him. And he said, I couldn't perform the first time because I was fighting my idol. I was fighting someone I grew up watching. That's me with you. I'm talking with someone I've grown up listening to, so I always try and, not have a personality change and not get starstruck because it's great. It really is. It's a trip for me. I'm appreciative.
That's very kind. When we come back, I just want to review again. This is a very scary thing about a professor claiming that Steven Crowder is a Nazi and putting up fake messages and attributing them to him on Twitter. That is to Crowder. This is what is going on, and that's allowed. That's allowed on Twitter. All right, I'm Dennis Prager. Back in a moment. Hi, everybody. A household name among young Americans, Steven Crowder, who is funny, bright, and has terrific values and courage. And he'll be at SMU with his comedy show next week, March 22nd. I will be... What day of the week is that? Steven, what day of the week?
That is on a Thursday night, and we stream it all live. It's filling up pretty quickly. It's a big party, so yeah, get out there while you can.
All right, so quickly here, because we just don't have a lot of time. Sure. There's a professor, was it University of Texas in Arlington?
Yes.
Has he gotten away with saying you're a Nazi?
Well, a lot of people have gotten away with it. I suppose he has. I don't. I don't know exactly what we can do. The school chooses not to fire a professor who spreads libel. I don't know that there's much we can do. I do know that it doesn't seem as though SMU is going to bend under the pressure. My concern here is this professor was calling me a Nazi using, they call them memes. It's an image with a quote, using false libelous memes that have images of me with Nazi tattoos and horrible things in it that I can't repeat. I was targeted by these neo-Nazi sites. So this was allowed to stay on Twitter. Twitter saw these tweets. I said, hey, can you get these taken down? I'm all for it, but these are libelous. I didn't say this. And Twitter said, no. That's not a violation of our code of conduct. My video that went up yesterday was, by the way. And this man, who's a lecturer at UT Arlington, posted it to his Facebook saying, everybody go and call the dean or the student activities advisor at SMU and let's print these out on signs and protests, which is terrible, but hilarious to me. I mean, if they want to ban me for an offensive joke I've made, fine. But for something that I didn't say, they stepped in a pile of it with this one.
It's very angering. What is he a professor of? Do you know?
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, philosophy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not, I assumed one of the liberal arts. Yeah, I know, philosophy.
If I'm not mistaken, I actually have his class list, and he talks about the difference between good arguments and bad arguments.
Yeah, I read that,
and
yeah.
how he teaches students to delineate.
I know. All right, my friend, good luck at SMU. We're going to have you on again. You're a terrific guy. You do great work.
Thank you so much, and can't wait to have you back on for a long discussion on the show. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. Steven Crowder. Louder with Crowder. You should watch it. All right, everybody, this is fundraising month for Prager University. We're doing really powerful work. You should have seen. Kids came up from Stanford who watched the videos, and that's an hour away. They came to Berkeley just to say hello. Yes, there's matching. That's right. You give $100, it's $200 that you're giving. We're fighting. I'm a fighter. Help me fight. It's as simple as that. PragerU.com. We'll be back on the Dennis Prager Show.
Hey, huge show coming up. So those who still have social media accounts, blast it out. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot, and that way you can see a video immediately before it's removed. Of course, subscribe on iTunes or SoundCloud for when you're on the go. And I know we've talked about it for a long time, loudwithcrowder.com/mugclub, but we need you now more than ever to help support our fight. And because we want you to see that it's worth it, we're offering a 30-day free trial right now. Start now, loudwithcrowder.com/mugclub, 30-day free trial. Enjoy the show. All right, listen. You know what? can I just, we usually do a meat segment. We get in here, we have a ton of research, and this has been a stressful week for people who don't know. I've been Twitter banned for the video we sent it. By the way, Sven Computer, thank you for going, and you did a great job with that. Really do. I think you did a great job. For people who want to watch it, go to Mug Club. Do you guys just mind if I take a few minutes? Usually we go into something, we say, let's dive into a topic, and people use it to educate themselves and educate their professors and use it to rebut maybe Vox on gun control. So let me ask you a question first off, because we've been dealing with it this week. Do you feel there's a generation gap between those in the social media fray right now, the ones who are obviously censoring different points of view, right of center points of view, and the old conservative guard? Because that's what I've been running into. I have not been as upset. Well, you expect this from the left. People have been saying, for example, that Twitter and YouTube, they shouldn't have banned the video. But then we've had a lot of conservatives this week who've been criticizing us, saying, well, sure, it was entertaining, but really, how constructive was it? I read somebody writing that. It was entertaining, but was it constructive to send in Sven Computer to the gender nonconforming? It was entertaining, but was it constructive? You just answered your own damn question.
The point. You missed it.
Was it exactly? Was it entertaining? That's the point. You're talking, by the way, to the creators of Change My Mind, where millions upon millions of plays of nothing more than me sitting down with a stool in enemy territory, being bombarded and trying to be as constructive as humanly possible. And by the way, this is a late night show. Do you think anyone has ever asked? I don't know how constructive it is for Carson to do the Zoltar bit. I don't know how constructive Letterman's top 10 is. You know, we don't want to be constructive all the time. So that's what this, if we're talking about the banning, we're talking about the legal issues. We'll talk more about that with Bill Richmond after. You're either in or you're out. You understand how this works or you don't, whether you support the idea of the content or not. And these conservatives, we run into you guys all the time. You bitch and you say, well, why does Jimmy Kimmel get to use his platform for politics? I'm not going to tune into the Oscars. But you know why? Because he spent years being entertaining. If people are going to hold us to that standard where every single thing we say has to be like Rush Limbaugh's cheering on dear leader, we're not the show for you. Was it constructive? It was hysterical. I pissed myself laughing. And if that's what determines whether you support us or these people support us not in fighting these behemoths of fascist censorship, bastions of alcoholism, okay, then piss off. Don't watch their show. How's that for constructive? I expect this. I expect this from the left. I expect them to try and silence us. But to see conservatives going, well, I would support you if you didn't do something that was could it be a little more constructive? Could it be a lecture? By the way, as far as constructive, there's a reason this video was removed. The left understands the scope of what we're doing. Okay, the old stick in the mud right vanguard has no idea. You bet your ass the left thinks it's constructive. That's why they had a hair-triggered, double-barreled machine gun ready for all of the platforms to remove this video because they realized how constructive it was in making the left looking like the silly LGBTQ AAIP two-spirited dumbasses that they are. That's why we don't like to talk about our numbers. We don't go out and brag. That's not what we're based on. We've been focusing on content, creating more content than ever, but we cannot hire people fast enough to keep up with the growth, which is a blessing and for which we are eternally grateful. But that's because we were too busy being unconstructive while you were sermonizing to 85-year-old geriatrics who want to stock up on self-lubricating pocket catheters. The left understands how dangerous we are. And all they do is run a clip of the latest, by the way, the latest rant, the latest conservative rant or gotcha segment on Fox and Friends. They just run it on The View and go, see? Ha. They just run the latest NRA clip and go, see? They don't even need to rebut it. They just hit play and laugh. If you think that's constructive. That's what they do to conservative, constructive content. By the way, it's just like what we do on the flip side with Samantha Bee or Trevor Noah. We don't need to rebut it. Their unfunniness is their own rebuttal. Now, guess who these leftist sites never roll? Us. Our content will get folds more play. This is the time we'll break. Our content will get folds more plays than these hosts on the left, than the Kimmels, than the Seth Meyers, than the Jimmy Fallons, with a fraction, and I mean fraction of the staff, and I mean a fantastic staff. But we are talking pennies on the dollar when you're talking about hirees, employees, and the left doesn't play it. Oh, here's the thing. They try to remove it. Behind the scenes, they Twitter ban like you saw. They Facebook throttle. They try to get dozens of videos removed from our channel on YouTube. We deal with this all the time, but they never, ever utter the phrase or the words louder with Crowder. For the left, we're like Candyman. They're afraid if they say our name 3 times in the mirror, we'll show up and rape them with their own power tools, mind you. Their own power tools of entertainment and comedy. And by the way, we will. We will show up and sexually accost left. Speaking of this, metaphorically, of course, the left. I'm speaking metaphorically, of course. We will show up. We will do this. And we do it. We do so many things. We have a lawyer on retainer to fight this. Every dollar you give us, every dollar you spend that goes into Mug Club goes into providing more free content and making sure that the path is still open for you. We're not like the Sarah Silvermans. We're not like the Amy Schumers. We're not like the shock jock comics who go up and they do a bunch of dirty jokes and then they say, you know what, you really shouldn't say gay. We open the door behind us and we hope that you can draft in. And we do it for you. Yeah, you know, it's been a really stressful week. Hell, it's been a really stressful year. But, you know, it's been a stressful week for us just as much, really, I would say more so because of the old conservative guard as it's been for the left trying to silence us, which is why we're so grateful for people like you who do watch and who do share and who do join over there at Mug Club. Watch, I say Jew. Watch, there's going to be another Daily Stormer thing. And then another teacher's going to try and get me banned from SMU. This week, it's been Twitter. It's been YouTube. It's been Facebook, which you don't even know about. It's been South by Southwest. You bet your ass that we've had a rough go. But every dollar we get from you joining Mug Club, that we get from you supporting the sponsors, buying the merch, will go to fighting this with everything we got. Because despite the fact that we have a giant-ass target on our back, we know that you have ours. And who cares if the old stodgy Republicans don't have your back? We do. We do. This is where we are this week. It's been stressful, but it's also been a relief. Let me ask you, you have values that don't line up with your professors maybe? If you're in college, you're a college student. We know. We look at our demographics. Maybe your values don't line up with your peers. Maybe it doesn't line up with the social media elite. Do you feel like you don't quite fit in with the Oscars elite crowd, but you're also maybe not welcome at the young Republican parties and conventions? You feel like a misfit? You tired of fighting the whole damn world and you wish that there were people out there like you? Well, here we are. Here we are. We've got food, we've got beer, laughs, guns, and mugs, and you're welcome to stay as long as you want. And if that doesn't seem kosher to you, if you think that's not constructive, if you're not willing to take up arms and grow a pair, this just isn't the place for you. How about that? Hit the unsubscribe button. If you want to fight, if you want to show your war face, subscribe, join Mug Club, hit the notification button, because that way you at least see it before it gets taken down within minutes, and we will be talking with Paul Joseph Watson and then our lawyer to update you. I'm sorry, I hopefully I've earned the right to do that every now and then. By the way, that is the toughest man you've ever seen wearing a girdle.
That is the I don't know.
In case you didn't know,
I don't know. I've
been
to San Francisco.
Before the removing of the video from the YouTube, before the stuff that's happened with Facebook that we can't exactly talk about, before the temporary Twitter ban, which could be a permanent Twitter ban, I threw out my back.
You did.
Entirely.
Dick move.
Anyway, our next guest, I love him. He's a sweet-looking chap. I think that's what they call him over there. It's been a while since he's been on, and he's also been at the the end of the rifle of I guess what would we call it? Big tech? I don't know. You follow him, you love him on Twitter at Prison Planet. How are you, Mr. Watson?
Hey, I'm good, Stephen. Good to be back.
Well, that doesn't sound convincing at all. So, hey, first question, why do you keep, the map seems to get increasingly wrinkly.
It needs ironing. It needs ironing. It's because I keep moving house and I keep having to fold it up and then unpack it again. So it needs ironing.
Is this because you had to move out due to the Muslim encroachment of your previous neighborhood?
No, I live in exactly the same neighborhood. Just moved to a better place.
Just rebuttal the flat earth theorist.
Yes, exactly.
I have to keep jumping around from year to year to evade detection from, tolerant, peaceful liberals.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the catch-22 is if you want to carry a firearm in the United States, you have to list your new address anyway. So I'm not listed, but I need to protect myself.
Of me carrying a firearm, don't worry.
Yes, I know, because you're in a land where you have no freedom. Paul, have you been thinking about Paul Watson? Paul Joseph Watson.
It's missing the Joseph.
I can't think of a more English-sounding name. Is that like? I mean, I was going to say, is that like John Smith over there in the UK? But I suppose that would just be John Smith.
Well, I use the middle name because Paul Watson is that big environmentalist Sea Shepherd guy, so I have to differentiate between him. He probably hates me, by the way.
Yes, I'm sure he does. He's like, Joseph!
Just like the guy who owns StephenCrowder.com.
Yeah, there was a guy who owns StephenCrowder.com tried to shake me down for tens of thousands of dollars, and then said, "Hey, man, we both come to the same cross." I was like, "What? Your cross is a prick?" Because that's not what I do. Yeah, I tried to pull the Christian card, and I was like, "Oh, okay, well, yeah." We're like, so $100 million. All right, Paul, what have you what have you experienced yourself as it comes to YouTube and Twitter and Facebook? You've been pretty good for the most part, and I don't think you've had a ton of suspensions or removals, right?
What I'm finding now is, like, I dig back through old videos on YouTube. So, for example, it's like almost 2 years ago, I made a video called F the Pope. Went back and they put it in limited state. You know, right? What that is? They put it behind like a wall where nobody can find it unless they got the direct link. So they don't even send you an email. They don't even notify you. It's like, oh, this video's disappeared. This video's disappeared. There was one about Trump retweeting Britain First, and the first sentence was, Trump was dumb for retweeting Britain First, banned, appealed it. It came back after it got like national newspaper attention. I went back like 2 days ago. It's been banned again. So even videos that have been appealed and are back online, they ban them a second time.
This was banned because you said Trump is dumb?
I think it was just Britain First in the headline of the video. The reason it was banned.
Wow.
I mean, now they're like, if you put hate, if you like put I hate pineapple pizza in the title of a video, that's banned because you can't have hate in the title. It's getting increasingly insane. There was a tweet I put out today. You know, people on Twitter who like your YouTube video, the one that got you in the big trouble.
Yeah, I know. They're all getting. We've advised them,
like,
don't
it's like
post
an
it.
automated tweet. Like, it's not even, they haven't even written it. It's like if you like a video on YouTube, it automatically tweets you liked the video. Banned for 7 days.
I know. Please, by the way,
incredible.
please, can you help us and tweet obviously this out tonight, but let them know, because I can't. None of us can. I think Not Gay Jared can tweet now. I was banned for. Let them know to not tweet it out. We appreciate them on it, but please do not support us and post this video. You will get Twitter banned just for liking our video.
Fruit of the internet.
The thing that annoys me about all this, right? This all came down the pipeline after Charlottesville about the contrived hysteria over the alt-right. You know, the alt-right, the actual alt-right, which the left thinks is everyone right of Michael Moore, but it isn't. The actual alt-right, they don't get affected by the censorship. If their YouTube channel gets taken down, they've got such a tiny platform to begin with.
Right.
They just start a new channel and no one even notices. I mean, this is the point I make over and over again. The left loves the alt-right because they use them as a stick to bash us over the head with. You know, Richard Spencer has a speech. There's more cameras in the audience than people in the audience. Right. I mean, their only platform is the mainstream media. Right. The mainstream media loves them because they use them to bash us, to, you know, portray us as extremists, as on the fringes.
That's what we just talked about at SMU. This UT Arlington professor who was posting these, saying we need to get him banned from SMU, was posting fake memes of me posted by the Storm? I don't know, the Daily Stormer, because they thought I was Jewish, right? Because I support Israel's right to exist. So they did a bunch of anti-Semitic memes. And then when people found out I wasn't Jewish, they said, oh, let's tattoo swastikas on him and Photoshop it and have a whole bunch of anti-Semitic memes and racist memes to try and ruin his career. This guy, by the way, I don't go around filing violations on social media willy-nilly. That's libel. That's illegal to do, right? Saying Steven Crowder said kill all the N-words or whatever it is that they say, and I go, hey, I didn't say that. That can't be up there. Twitter manually reviewed it, said it's okay, and a professor is now using it to try and get me banned from campus. It's not, are there standards, and do conservatives, if conservatives violate the standards of Twitter, fine. If conservatives violate the standards of YouTube because they just say we don't want your point of view, they can do that. It is about standards being applied equally. That is the standard. That is the measurement for law. Is it applied equally? Sorry, Jared, you were going to say something.
I was just saying, they're also offensively poor Photoshops. I just want to throw that out there.
It fooled the professor.
Fooled the professor.
They can't even get the Photoshops right. The one about Twitter writing your ad copy and then later banning that. It's just hilarious.
No, we literally have a paper trail a mile long of them going, hey, you should advertise with us. I don't know. Well, if you advertise with us, the great thing about Twitter is you get to keep the followers you get, and they do the same thing everywhere else. All these social media sites. I'm like, well, I don't know. Well, let's get you on with one of our Twitter social media expert analysts who just came out of college, and he goes, yeah, well, what would you like to write? I don't know. Let me try out 5 of these. Yeah, those are good. Let's sample those and find out which ones are most effective. Hey, great news. This one's most effective. Do you give me the authorization to increase the budget? Sure. By the way, it's now banned.
That is the most egregious and plain stupid example I think I've ever heard about. But I mean, the point is, the wider point, there was Niall Ferguson, noted British historian, gave a talk a few days ago. He came out and said, look, Trump would not have won the election without Facebook. In the past 6 weeks or even less, Trump's lost 45% of his Facebook engagement traffic. There was a Western journalism study that came out a couple of days ago Liberal sites are +2 since the Facebook algorithm change. Conservative sites are -14% in terms of engagement. Now,
right.
If you take Fox News out of the equation, for whatever reason they've gone way up over the past 6 weeks, you take them out, the top 12 conservative sites on Facebook are down in terms of engagement traffic 32%.
Yeah.
This is going to decide elections. This is what Niall Ferguson said in his talk. This will decide elections. Silicon Valley is now deciding elections.
Well, that's a very important point, and actually the Western journalism guys were asking to come on this show, but not necessarily the most entertaining folks. We were like, let's find a pocket for you later. The important thing there is not just Donald Trump, because people can say, well, he's made some bad decisions, he's pissed off conservatives, but like you said, across the board. And also people could say midterms, right? Midterms, obviously the opposition party tends to do better, but across the board for conservatives, not only conservatives, but this includes libertarians. This includes people like us, comedians, who just happen to be right of center, doing more poorly. And it doesn't correlate with the television numbers, by the way, of some of these other pages. That's what's important. It is not consistent at all. It clearly is. And by the way, Gizmodo and Gadget, they wrote that article where it was admitted from Facebook. Yeah. We dealt with them out of court. They admitted to manually throttling my page. Here's my question to you, Paul, because obviously you work under the bigger umbrella with InfoWars. People know you. We don't want to we have a lawyer on retainer, right? We have one of the top 100 lawyers in all of Texas, period, on retainer. We made it a part of our business model because we said we know this is coming. It doesn't help conservatives for people to just bitch and then not take legal action. I know you guys have taken some actions, right? I mean, what would you advise people do if this kind of thing happens? We've got to make it sting, and we've got to make it sting together.
You've got to take legal action. Like, this has been a relentless purge. It's all still based on that butthurt, but over the election. But over the last few months, it's lawsuit after lawsuit. Like, we get one almost every week now. They're all frivolous. It's like the Pepe the Frog creator saying that we violated his copyright. Oh, but you gave an interview in 2015 saying everyone can profit off of Pepe the Frog. So there's a poster with Pepe in it. We didn't even design it. We sell it. That's frivolous. You know, we've got all kinds of stuff going on that it's keeping us on the ropes. And quite frankly, this is boring to have to whine about how we're being censored every single day. People get so jaded of it. So people should probably just spend more time and focus on the lawsuits. I talked to Alan Bakari, Breitbart senior tech editor. You know, we were talking about a march in DC. He's like, well, everyone has a march in DC every Saturday. It's not even going to make a mark. Yeah. Why not a big march in Silicon Valley, on Google or on Facebook as one strand of, you know, a plan of action? Yeah. Why not pressure lawmakers? This is what he said to me, and he's talking to these people. Lawmakers aren't hearing about this. Constituents, conservatives aren't bitching about it enough to get it in front of them.
Well, they are, but they're bitching about it, just saying, oh, this happened. I will tell you, I feel like Michael Douglas in Falling Down, because I've gotten some emails from people going like, hey, welcome to the club. Now you're like us. And I'm sitting there going, I am nothing like you. I am nothing like you. That's why we did Tranny Bane and Jihadi Bond. That's why we started Mug Club. We said, you know what? We're not going to sit and piss and moan. We're going to get active. That's what we're doing today. We're going to have a parody of Seven Brides for Seven Brothers next week. We're going to have the biggest show we've ever had in our lives at SMU with over 2,000 people. Focus on the content, but take the legal action. And unfortunately, you're one of the only other people I've seen do this. You mention it when it's important, but unfortunately, a lot of conservatives out there turn their content into nothing but bitching about it. I think you do it once, then take the legal action and continue with content, because that's how you win.
Exactly, and set the precedent. And Democratic lawmakers, this is shoved in front of them all the time. Like, they're actively talking to Twitter executives. There was a case during the shortly after the October 31st attack in New York, where it was a Democratic congressman bitching about how my InfoWars story was at the top of the Twitter search trend for that day. It was based on a story. An imam in New York warned de Blasio that radicalization was taking place in mosques in New York. Completely accurate story. He did warn him. He provided the letter. The congressman was like, how on earth does this get to the top of Twitter? And the Twitter exec was like, yeah, well, it was gone by lunchtime. Don't worry about it. So you have them putting pressure on Twitter at every available opportunity. That's not happening on the right.
No.
There was one thing with Ted Cruz last month with this Communications Decency Act, which says they have to abide by being politically neutral or they lose legal immunity for user content. So if someone posts a death threat on YouTube, YouTube's responsible for it.
Right.
I mean, that's one way to go. We have to get it in front of lawmakers and not just whine about it on Twitter.
And we have a half Asian lawyer who will be up after this to talk about what we're doing. Because, yeah, listen, I've been against this. People say it needs to be regulated like a public utility, right? Like telecom companies. And I said, no, the solution isn't big government. But I'm at the point now where when they claim, hey, we don't want to have those regulations, but we are politically neutral. When they go out and they court people to spend money with them, listen, if you spend $1 million with YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, which by the way is not unheard of. Let's say people talk about the Bush tax cuts. They got somebody, businesses making $250,000 more. $1 million in growth in advertising spent over the course of 5 years is not much. And a lot of people right now are advised to spend that on social media advertising. That is $1 million they could spend somewhere else in inventory, and they're spending it based on a lie. Like you said, I don't know. They might need to be regulated as public utility companies. They might need to be. I might be changing my mind on this. Before we go, Paul, can you do me one favor? Can you say, I ate lunch at Google?
I ate lunch at Google.
I don't know why I just went, I ate lunch at Google. I feel like I'm at a Beatles jam session.
American and Canadians can't tell the difference between different British accents.
I do. I know it's Liverpool.
Even though there's a vast difference.
I know there's a big difference because when a guy, there was a fighter named Terry Adam from Liverpool, and when he got up on the microphone after winning a fight and started speaking, I about pissed myself laughing. It was so funny. But there's Manchester is more working class, and there's London. I understand.
You get it.
Paul, so what do they do? You say go to their lawmakers. So we're doing what we can specifically with our cases. Not everyone has a paper trail of Twitter taking money and then saying, hey, this is a violation of our policy. What can the average person do who's in the right, who isn't violating copyright? How can they fight back? You talk about getting in front of legislators. What can they do? You've talked about this.
Well, I think we're going to start a campaign which is basically a stock form that they can fill in and insert their own particular relevance into it. So we need to do that. We need to set up a process where it's automated. I mean, that's what the left does. We need to organize. That's what they're good at. That's what we're terrible at. We need to communicate. What I saw after the CNN thing, where they literally lobbied to shut down our YouTube channel, they were talking to YouTube like, oh, what about this video? What about this video? Then I had CNN people coming back at me saying, oh, we're just covering the story. No, you're not. You're in there directly communicating with YouTube execs for particular videos that you claim are hate speech or whatever. This is a lobbying campaign. So, I mean, after that, I said we need to declare war on the mainstream media. They had a video where they harassed a woman outside her own home, an elderly woman in Florida, clearly harassment, clearly doxing. That video was up on YouTube. Nothing whatsoever happened. So, like you said, we need to strike back. Also, with the telecommunications thing, the regulation, if you have a phone contract with T-Mobile or whoever, they don't get to ban your contract because they don't like the content of your conversations that you have with people on the phone. So I'm warming more towards some kind of regulation, maybe some kind of Internet Bill of Rights is another way to go.
I think they should have to sign on to it. I think Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook should be given the option. You don't have to, but if you lose your immunity, right? You lose your immunity here if you don't sign on to, okay, we are a politically neutral platform. You allow a full, deeply rooted investigation so we know that your algorithms are fair. We get to do a full manual review, or you don't get to play nice. Or you don't get this benefit. That's what needs to happen. They have to choose. They can't. Right now, they're having best of all worlds. And by the way, for people out there, obey the law. These people have their own. Like YouTube is a good example, right? They say, well, someone complained it was a violation of privacy. Well, we recorded South by Southwest, where it's a single-party consent state, and actually they allow you to film at some of these events for the first 5 minutes, particularly at meetups. Either way, the law says you can't. Well, they say our policy says you can't because somebody didn't like what they did. Well, bye-bye investigative journalism. Meanwhile, libelous videos or claims, like, for example, videos out there saying that I want to exterminate the Jews, and I say, hey, can you manually review this? And Twitter says, no, that's fine. That is illegal. That's actually libel and slander. You can lose in court. So their policies don't follow the law, and they even allow criminal activity to occur on their platform. There needs to be legal ramifications. So I hope you spearhead it along with us, and we this is the shot heard around the world.
I mean, they would be more sensible to just do the shadow banning and the algorithm changes, because you can't really prove either way if that's happening. Yeah. There was a study by a psychologist called Robert Epstein. He found that Google's ranking algorithm in terms of one candidate versus another, positive stories ranked above negative stories, they could influence the outcome of 25% of all national elections. That is the power of the algorithm. So that's going to be a big battle as well. But when they target individuals and just create all this resentment, they're going to create a rod for their own back. The backlash has already started, and it's going to get bigger.
A rod for my back actually sounds good right now. I might stabilize it. This girdle isn't quite doing the whole trick. Good point, though, and it's shocking that they're doing all of this. They're throttling and they're banning and they're censoring, and we are still winning. The right is still taking it to them.
Imagine if we weren't being censored and dragged down by this. We'd be absolutely crushing them.
And instead of being
we
whiny
resonate
little...
and they don't.
Right, exactly. Instead of being whiny bitches, like a lot of people out there are, getting active. And by the way, like we said, of the old stodgy conservatives who don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to like it. Just get out of the way and let us do our thing. Paul Joseph Watson at Prison Planet on Twitter. Always nice to speak with you, sir. Again, let your fans know. Do not support that video. Don't tweet it out yet.
You don't want it.
I'll make sure to let them know, Stephen.
All right, we will be back. A lawyer, I think. Yeah. P-O-G.
It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Come cheer up my lads, come cheer up my lads. 'Tis better to have loved and lost.
'Tis better to have loved and lost, says that song from our lovely friend Pogo. You know what else? It's better to have fought and lost. And that's what we say. We are swinging as hard as we possibly can. That's why, even though we had him on this week, a lot of updates. So I want to bring him back on. My half-Asian lawyer, good friend of the show, Bill Richmond. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Glad to be here.
Good. I'm glad to have you here. Now, before we move on, just so people kind of understand this, first off, how many times have you won or been awarded the title of Best Business Lawyer in Dallas?
3 times.
3 times. Okay. And how many times have you been among the top 100 young lawyers in all of Texas, period?
I think it's 2 times.
And are you expensive to have on hire?
Exceptionally.
Okay. And how much do you just want to see Twitter and the social media behemoths pay for their crimes against humanity?
I don't know that the words can adequately describe it, but my body shakes and shakes and shakes when I think about it.
Well, good, and we're glad that we have this man on retainer. He has equity in our company, I believe. I'm not sure, but we're keeping him because we need him. It's a part of our business plan. First off, let me ask you, what have you done with that Charles Hermes character? He was a professor, lecturer, I don't know if there's anything at UT Arlington, spreading false Nazi memes of myself to try and get the March 22nd SMU show canceled. What have you done with that chump?
The legal definition of what I sent was a love note, requesting a retraction and a correction. There's some great things under Texas law that allow us to say, hey, if you make a false statement and you're causing issues, you should make a retraction or correction if you want to deal with the issue. And so we've given him an opportunity to do the right thing and not just delete the tweet or delete the post, but to actually do the right thing here. We'll see. We'll see what he does.
Okay. And for the record, by the way, it seems like the show is unaffected March 22nd at SMU thus far. But by and large, that's because of
Twitter has not made a phone call yet.
No, Twitter's not made a phone. 2 quick follow-up questions on that. In Texas, where the video that was removed from YouTube was filmed, I just want to make sure people is Texas a single-party or 2-party consent state?
Single party.
Okay. Another question, I guess, is when someone puts a quote next to and says that you said this thing, for example, like kill all the Jews or whatever it is, and knowingly spreads false information, what is the legal term for that?
Defamation, or if in writing, libel.
Okay. Is that illegal?
It is against the statutes of this great state.
Okay. Let me ask you this. What are we doing with that video that was removed on YouTube to get it back on YouTube to try and play ball and be as much of a partner as we can?
I think we're shooting in the dark and guessing because no one wants to actually say with specificity what the alleged issue is. But what the actual actions we're taking are blurring. We're blurring things out. We're blurring more things out. We're blurring any possibility of a name or a face of people who were in a public place knowingly being filmed, who were actually happy they were being filmed until they realized that they weren't necessarily being filmed in a particularly friendly way. And then it kind of turned around.
Right. No, exactly. I should note to people who don't know, who haven't been following, who aren't Mug Club members, we were hit with a privacy violation. Now, usually if someone says there's a privacy violation, first off, there's laws, And then there's policies from these social media giants. And what's crazy is that sometimes they actually go further than the law, even if you're following the law. And then sometimes they allow criminal acts like libel to take place on their platform after a manual review. So you can't know what's law and what's policy.
That's hard work to track.
We were just told it was someone complained about privacy, and the time code was the entire duration of the video. So Bill just said, listen, blur every face, every name. Okay, let's try and play ball. We're
blur
trying
all the things.
Blur.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but it's shooting in the dark, because really the way that this system works is they can only be very selective in their application of the rules if they're unclear as to what the rules are. Because if everyone knew what the rules were, they'd be able to say, that's wrong, that's right. But what they like to do is say, well, there's no one to talk to, there's no one available, the rules kind of changed, we're not sure how you interpret our own rules. And then you get situations where people within the own organization are doing whatever they want, and unfortunately what they want is to silence voices on the right.
Right. And exactly, like we said to people, we don't want to just keep plugging it, but that's why Mug Club exists, CRTV, louderwithcreditor.com/Mug Club. We do obey the law in the way that we create our content, and those are the policies we have. So you can go watch it there, because we are not looking to break the law. And we'll blur everything and try. Let me follow up. Final question. What exactly are you going to be doing with Twitter? So Twitter was the video. It just said was a violation of content. We also, obviously, the long-standing history. We talked about running ads that they helped create and then banning the ads. What are you doing with Twitter? Can you say?
So we've got the only thing I can say right now is we're making an all-out effort to be able to hit them in all channels of communication to let them know that this is a serious issue that they have to fix immediately. Unfortunately, that's the policy that they use, kind of de facto policy of whoever makes the loudest noise might get some relief from these draconian random applications of the rules. For everything else, I'm going to have to save it for the March 22nd show in SMU. I'll give an announcement, an update then, and kind of reveal a little bit more once things become more public of exactly the steps we're taking.
Okay, so at SMU, March 22nd, half-Asian lawyer Bill Richmond going to have some major announcements. I forgot my C's, and it's going to be one hell of a party. Thank you, Bill. We're glad to have you in our corner.
Glad to be here.
All right, we'll talk with you after the show, actually, because I have to clear things with him.
All right, hear ye, hear ye. This week's double-secret patriarchy meeting is now in session. All present say aye. Aye. Wonderful. Now, first item up for discussion, we've heard a lot of rumblings from angry women, and we're looking for ways to preserve our secretive yet long-standing rape culture. Any ideas? Anyone? Come now, don't be shy. Yes, Charlie.
Yeah, what if, when a woman wants to accuse a man of rape, what if we came up with and made a whole court system thing where to require some sort of verifiable proof, convict somebody?
Thereby hiding rape culture under the guise of innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
My lord, that's brilliant, Charlie.
Yeah, it could be a whole thing with judges and due process and stuff.
Due process, a foolproof system designed to preserve our rape culture without fail. Yeah. Airtight, those bitches won't know what hit them. Fantastic work. Tom, you know that we are supposed to keep refreshments to a 2 per attendee maximum.
You see, if you had counted the room, if you had done the research, as I have done the research, you would know there are not enough cookies for everyone in this room.
Mr. Cruz.
Actually, I held my breath that time. I don't know why.
It's because you've been doing all those breath exercises. Breathe in, breathe out, center yourself.
Yes. thank you so much for everyone who's been watching and supporting us. Listen, like I said, we never want to be those people who just complain. So we want to fill you in on what it is we're doing and why. And we always want to be, the always be closing. The equivalent to that for us is entertaining, informative, enlightening. If it's not informative, if it's not enlightening, it better be entertaining.
Here's the thing that I think is funny about that when it comes to the left. Usually the left is guilty of trying to force reality to be what they want it to be. And this is one area where conservatives tend to do that more so when it comes to the way it's all about the message to them, and they don't consider the medium.
Yeah.
And just like, if you want to change ideas, you have to change culture. And if you want to speak to culture, their language is entertainment.
And the problem is conservatives always talk about that, but then say, I don't know how constructive you're being. So listen, I hope you guys have come along with me, and I've earned the right to just sort of open myself up to you a little bit earlier. I know it got a little heated. But I'm going to continue that. We have huge, obviously, March 22nd next week. Next week, we're going to have a ton of content anyway. We have so much more content. There may be a show Monday, or there may not, because of legal issues. We hate to say that. So stay posted if you're a Mug Club member. But I do want to thank everyone, really, who supported us. It's been overwhelming. Let me tell you one thing you wanted me to clarify with Twitter. The reason I'm banned for a week, by the way, is because I was banned for 12 hours, just like Nake, Jared, and Sven.
For sharing the video.
And all of you who've shared the video were banned for at least 12 hours. The reason I was banned for a week was because I got subsequent infractions for scheduled tweets on my account of that video, which, by the way, once I was banned for 12 hours...
You couldn't unschedule.
You couldn't possibly unschedule. There was no way for me to access the account. So it was, boom, infraction 12 hours. Okay, let me go in and unschedule. You can't. You're locked out. Boom, number 2 infraction, which we tried to remove. Yeah. There are so many
hole in their system.
Here. It's not just this victim complex from conservatives. Listen, the truth is sometimes your content sucks. Sometimes you play a full song from Abbey Road and it's not under parody. You're breaking the law, right? I understand that. And we don't do that. We really do try and cross our T's and dot our I's here. And it's been a stressful week. It's been a really stressful week. I think I've been doing better at handling it than I used to. I think everyone here has done an amazing job handling it. Mark is new. Johnny Boy has made a big difference on Hire here, helping keep things organized. That's why we're able to create more content, because I was having to manage this stuff, the business side of things, and it's grown beyond my control. So having people like Bill, this is a team effort. And I was actually, fun enough, so I looked, when we had this thing, to give you an idea, to try and make it relatable, because I know not everyone works in media, and not everyone really relies on social media. Is kind of just something that's for fun. For us, it's the lifeblood of 15 employees, right? It's the lifeblood of Nake Jared, of Sven Computer, of Edward the Sound Guy, of Johnny Boy, of Courtney, of Casey, of Rodigan, of Mark, of Garrett, of Aaron the intern. I mean, there's so many, of Francine, of Darren. There's so many people. And we just lost Nicole last week. We talked about that. So it's the lifeblood of all this. And I was pretty stressed. So imagine you wake up one morning, whatever it is that you do, and you wake up that morning and your number 2 tool, Twitter, has been removed from you. Your number 2 business tool. Let's say you run a business and your factory just shut down. There's no power to it. It's the equivalent to that. And then you find out an hour later, you just didn't know about it, that your number 1 tool has been taken away from you. Or certainly it's on the way out because the video was removed for a violation that you don't know you made and you have no way to fix it. So your biggest distributor says, no go. Well, you say, hold on a second, why? We have a contract for this. Nope. We're reneging. That's what it felt like that morning. It was, and I'm not in war. I do not compare it to what soldiers go through. Believe me, I am not. There are different levels of intensity and sadness. I'm just trying to explain to you what it is. It felt like. It was very intense. I was trying to think, how can we fix this? Get on the phone with Bill. That same day, we still did a show. We did a show every single day this week. We still did shows. And we're still going to do it next week. And we have a big show on the road. We have to drive long ways in a van to SMU. And then we have Illinois the following week. We advertise it, but it's already full. LouderWithCutter.com/tour. Tour live. And I was really stressed and trying to, everyone's done this, keep up appearances. And I walked in, we had to shoot that Shining parody that you guys just saw. It was a great job again from the team. And Garrett, who's one of the latest hires, is an intern. Can't say enough good things about Garrett, about his attitude. Garrett is a can-do guy. Listen, I don't think Garrett would be. Garrett is new. Garrett isn't as seasoned, so there are a lot of things he can't quite do yet, as well as some of the more technical hirees. But Garrett is on top of things. A big part of our studio reorganization. I mean, this guy, he worked at a cinema, and he came in and he brought up the term cable configuration, and he builds props, and he did the scar tissue for the makeup on the waterfront. It's just, hey, Garrett, can you help me with this? And before you finish the phrase, he's out doing it. I can't say enough good things about Garrett as a person. And he's been doing incredibly well as an employee. We're still finding the best use for him. That's one thing you have to do as a leader, too, is find people's strengths and try to use them to the best of their ability. It's hard to do when you don't know what your work is, when you don't know what your product is, when you don't know what your distribution is, because people keep taking it away from you. And we were about to shoot the Shining deal, and I was getting into wardrobe, and I looked and I saw Garrett. And he was going like this, and I put my hand on his shoulder. I said, hey, Garrett, man, are you okay? You seem stressed. He said, no, I'm good. He said, I'm just... Stressed is, everyone is. I said, why? You don't need to be stressed. No, I'm stressed. I'm stressed for you. And it was one of those things where it touched me, because I realized, this isn't about me. These guys, they depend on me, but they know that after this, they can go work somewhere else. I've closed every door in my face deliberately. I can't go work somewhere else. And Garrett actually sent me, I remember that night, he sent me, sorry, just again, this is being open with you. Proverbs 3:5-6, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all the ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. He sent it that night. This is a new guy who we hired, who was genuinely stressed because he cared about me. And I know I felt that way for other people on this team. And I know that a lot of you out there, we get your letters, feel that way. And you let us into your room. You let us into your home at night. A lot of you watch it on TV, and you say, I really feel like there's a connection. I really feel like I'm alone out there. And it made me, there's a lot of stress with this. It's not about Twitter. It's not about Facebook. It's not about trolling. It's about being responsible for the livelihoods of 15 people. And it also made me realize, you know what? We're going to fight this as hard as we can, but I know that people here understand that if we fight as hard and we lose, it's okay. It's okay, because we all know that when you know that you've put in as much effort as you possibly can, and you come up short, it's a tough pill to swallow, but it is one that you can swallow. One you can't swallow is say, I could have done this, or I knew I should have changed that. It was just one of those moments. I looked at him and he was stressed. There was really no reason for him to be stressed. Listen, Garrett is effectively an intern. He's a new guy. He does everything that we need him to do, but he's not dealing with lawyers. He wasn't on the conference calls all day with Bill and sending out cease and desist lawyers and trying to make sure that the show at SMU happens. He didn't have to deal with that stress, but he helped burden it for me. And I've seen him do it with other people in the office. I've seen not gay Jared do it. I've seen Aaron the intern. I've seen Courtney do it. I've seen every single person in this office do it at some point. And I've seen every single person out there do it at some point for other people in the movement. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than the team. And if you want to rip stuff off for free on BitTorrent or whatever, you can do that. We've tried to just make the content valuable enough that you want to support us. And if you support us, I think we made it pretty clear that we're not going away. We're going to be fighting harder and harder. And the reason we're able to do it is because this is a very different team. The hiring process, Nicole, we just had to let go, that was 500 applicants for her with a golden ticket. 500 applicants. And she had to leave because she was sick. She was very sick. And thank you so much again to people who reached out. Doctors have reached out to her and specialists. And she apologized to me because she felt like she was a part of something special. And I feel like I'm a part of something special getting to know these people and work with these people. That's why we have Bill on retainer. And by the way, there was a time when we were so inundated with that Bill did work for us for free. The guy, top business lawyer in the state, did work for us for free because he said, "Okay, I get it, and you take care of the money when you take care of it. I got this for you." And that goes from an SMU law grad, top of the line, half Asian, skilled guy, all the degrees that you could look at on a resume and be impressed with. It goes from that to the most recent intern we hired. Every single person at some point in this company, in this movement, says, "That's okay. I got it." And that really touched me a lot this week. So I've been stressed, but I know we're going to get through it. He sent me he sent me that proverb, and I sent him back. I'll leave you with this, because this has always been actually my favorite Bible verse. And it's something when we talk about guided meditation or people have their mantra, most of that is silly. But I had this in my old office. I actually have it written on a piece of paper. I think I'm going to mount it over my wall. And hopefully, I know a lot of people, you're not dealing with Twitter, you're not dealing with YouTube, but everyone has their fights. Everyone has their fights to deal with. I know that your struggle may be way bigger. It could be cancer. Could be something going on with a relative who's sick. It could be maybe you don't know where your next paycheck is coming from. I understand that what we have is not as big of a deal as a lot of you. Believe me, this is not some kind of a victim complex. What I'm saying is I appreciate that we're able to do this with you. And I appreciate that you going through your own shit, and don't censor that for me, you going through the shit that I know you're going through. I know, I get your letters. I get them. I don't get to read all of them, but even if I just scan through a few dozen a day, I get them. I know what you're going through. I know it sucks. And the fact that you choose to support us, the fact that you choose to be a part of this, I cannot. That's why we never just go out and go, oh, look at all of our plays. No. I say, oh my God, look at all of these plays. Look at where we are. Look at how much we've grown. Look at how we are being targeted, and hit my knees with gratitude. Because we could just as easily be inconsequential. You could be going through your crap and choose not to make the time for us. So thank you. Thank you so much. And I'll leave you with this. My favorite verse for whatever it is that you're going through is Psalm 144. I'm going to go King James because I'm going old school and I think it has more effect. It's, blessed be the Lord my strength, who teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. And the war's about to start. It's going to get ugly. Really appreciate you being with us. We'll see you next week, maybe live at SMU March 22nd.
My pronouns, I don't really care. You can call me anything. Just don't call me Windows 2000. That would be very offensive. And that's about it. And I'm a raging.
We can obey the law, right? With YouTube, go to a single-party consent state, pay for access, we have the right to record, and it can be a violation of policy. But then you have places like Twitter where actual libel, actual slander is a crime, is allowed on their platform. They don't follow the law,
Twitter and
they allow
Facebook
breaking the law.
have multi-million person accounts that are up for 6 months, a year, saying kill Trump.
Yes. Oh, there are plenty that say kill me, of course, too. I mean, listen, I deal with it every day. I've reported them. I'm like, hey, this guy says he wants to kill me. It's not a violation.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Well, we all put a good face on it, but I was just talking to Steven Crowder, a very popular syndicated radio and TV host. Needs no introduction. All the young people I know are huge fans, and the adults are fans as well, which scares the globalist. When it comes to young people, he's got more viewers than Fox and CNN combined. So do we, so they want to censor us. But now Fox is being sued for questioning the murder of Seth Rich. So see, that's where all this is going. Well, they went a few days ago to South by Southwest to a trans event, and they had their Sven the computer. That's the character on the show. He identifies as a computer. Don't be hateful. You'll be arrested in California. Going beep, 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 beep. And then he's been banned off Twitter for 5 days because of that. And the media is supporting it. They're saying it's a good thing. It's hateful to, buy your ticket and go to an event and say, I'm a robot. The people there thought it was funny. Here it is.
Spend more time with computers, and so I've always identified.
I grew up in a fatherless home, just to give you my backstory, beep, beep. And I spent a lot of time with computers.
Beep, beep.
And I just have a strong connection with them, beep, beep.
More so than people.
And more so even than people, and that's kind of why I'm a computer now. I identify as a computer. I don't know if that's okay. Beep, beep.
And if you all think about it, really the human brain is just an advanced CPU processor.
I mean, if you think about it, like the human brain is just like another computer, right? Beep, beep, just processing things. So, yeah.
So, Sven, when it gets to your turn, give your story like we talked about, make your joke, say you can call me anything you want, just not Windows 2000, and then end it with, I'm also a raging
Well, my name is Sven Computer. My pronouns, I don't really care. You can call me anything. Just don't call me Windows 2000. That would be very offensive. And that's about it. And I'm a raging
And I've noticed what they mainly ban is stuff that's funny. They want to own comedy and own being ironic. Steven Crowder, what in the hell is going on with the left?
I'm sorry, I still laugh when I see my intern Sven Computer up there doing it. It was funny to me. They banned us, and so we sent in Sven Computer. So he was totally allowed to be there, had a badge. I do want to correct one thing. The people there afterward did not think it was funny because they realized how silly it looked. So I just want to be clear.
I mean, from the video I saw, they were laughing, but I guess later they didn't like it.
Right, exactly. They didn't like it, so I don't want to misrepresent them. But yeah, here's the deal. no one knows the violations with YouTube or Twitter. We were banned on Twitter immediately upon posting this video. And here's the crazy thing: it was a 12-hour ban, okay, Alex? And then there was a scheduled tweet. You know this. You probably have some scheduled tweets because you have different social media accounts that you run for the show. You schedule a tweet maybe a couple hours in advance. There was a scheduled tweet of this same video. Now, here's the thing. Once they banned me for 12 hours, I couldn't access my account to remove the scheduled tweet. So it went up. I got a double infraction. I've been banned for a week and no answer at all from Twitter. And, of course, YouTube said this was a privacy violation, by the way, Texas single-party consent state. But the violation didn't have a time code. As you know, there's supposed to be a legal process. There's a policy process with YouTube. If there's a violation, it says at which point in the video. We were just sent the whole video. They just don't want this up anywhere. It is so silly. It's fun. It makes them out to look silly, the whole LGBT. It wasn't, by the way, Alex, I have to correct you so that you don't get sued. It wasn't a trans event. It was a gender nonconformity event. There were genders there that you've never even heard of
But see,
before.
That's the thing. I can't even hardly keep track of my taxes and my kids' events. I made the joke 6 months ago that they're going to have LGBTQ X394QL93 DLC94. And now they're saying, is it getting too long? And it's like I'm in a cult. I've got to know all this. And
Jones, I got the 42 pages right here, the complete list of all genders.
We'll go over a few of those.
I'm trying to go through it to see if I can find this computer.
Like they have a new one where you want to have sex with cars.
Right, or that it's a frost gender, freeze gender. That's when you just feel snowy and cold in Arctic, which is... You know, or they. I mean,
let's just say this is total mental illness.
You feel like a marsh or a swamp.
Please tell me no one's getting
Let me ask Crowder this, and then you
near dry ice.
What is going on, Crowder? What is the end game of this?
Well, here's the. It's tough to be able to say what the end game is. Obviously, we feel that we've been targeted because of our point of view. Because there are policies, they don't clarify what the policies are. They don't tell you what they are. They don't give you a way to remedy it. We want to play ball. We don't want to break the law. We obey the law. Here's the thing, Alex. We have a show at SMU on March 22nd. Okay, there's a professor at UT Arlington who has been trying to get this show canceled. The March 22nd show at SMU. He doesn't even go to SMU. He was posting these false memes, which were started from some kind of an alt-right neo-Nazi website that basically they thought I was Jewish for a long time, so they would send me these anti-Semitic tweets or death threats. They found out I wasn't Jewish, and so then they started doing these false libelous memes with swastikas tattooed on me and horrible racist, kinds of fake quotes.
Sure, so there are groups false flagging, and it's not just left false flagging. You've got extreme right-wing racist groups that attack you and I and everybody because they want to control the movement. Exactly.
Well, here's the crazy thing about it, and then this is why it all ties back in. So these, by the way, these went up on Twitter. So you could find a picture of me with a swastika tattooed on my neck saying, kill all horrible things I can't repeat.
And you don't want to say it because they'll edit it and say you said it.
Right, exactly. I reported them to Twitter. I said, this is not true. This is a libelous meme. It was allowed up. So here's the thing. We can obey the law. Right, with YouTube, go to a single-party consent state, pay for access, we have the right to record, and it can be a violation of policy, but then you have places like Twitter where actual libel, actual slander is a crime, is allowed on their platform. They don't follow the law,
Twitter and
they allow
Facebook
breaking the law.
Have multi-million person accounts that are up for 6 months, a year, saying kill Trump.
Yes. Oh, there are plenty that say kill me, of course, too. I mean, listen, I deal with it every day. I've reported them. I'm like, hey, this guy says he wants to kill me. It's not a violation. Here's something else, Alex. You want to hear a crazy story? And the reason that ties back is that professor at UT Arlington was using those false memes to try and get me banned from SMU for something I didn't. If you want to say this video is offensive, fine. You want to say my jokes are edgy?
See, that's what they do to me. They say that I say there's Martian bases. They say I say firefighters blew up the World Trade Center. No, I said there was a stand down. It's come out in the news. That's how they get us all. They misrepresent what I say. They misrepresent what you say. Then they attack when you go on my show or I go on yours. They go, oh, you're on with that Nazi Crowder, or oh, you're on with that Nazi Alex. And then we all go, I better not be with that person. And this is how they're trying to kill everybody coming together.
Yeah, let me make this as clear as humanly possible. The reason I was targeted by neo-Nazis is because I believe Israel has a right to exist. I support the Second Amendment. I support the First Amendment. I support freedom of speech. I support the right to protest. People are going to protest our show at SMU on March 22nd. I support their right to. I want to be as clear as humanly possible. What I have a problem with are misleading business practices where we don't know the rules. Because, Alex, how many people, Alex, do you employ there at your program approximately?
It's over 100 with the shipping department and legal and everything.
Good Lord. Oh, good for you. You're doing well. Hats off to you. Ours is about 15. Here's the thing. I don't agree with everything you say. You don't agree with everything I say. But those people are dependent on you being able to follow rules that are clearly established, right?
And, well, exactly. It's totally Kafkaesque. It's all selectively enforced. There are no rules. The rules are they can do whatever they want.
Well, here's something they can't do. Twitter actually helped me create an ad campaign, and we're going to be announcing live with my lawyer here in the coming week some action that we'll be taking. By the way, people out there, I know you do this. You need to take proper legal action at this point. The time for just complaining on social media, that's not enough. We need to hit them where it hurts legally and sting them, the wallet. That's where it hurts. Here's something that Twitter did. They said, hey, you should advertise on Twitter. I said, you know, I don't know if that's no. You should invest your money in advertising on Twitter because you get to keep the followers you gain, and it's a great way. I said, okay. They helped create an advertising campaign to gain followers, right? They multiple times got on the phone with me and said, hey, let's correct it this way. Hey, maybe change the copy. They did this for years, took the money, and then said the copy and the ads they told me to create, the ones they helped devise, were a violation of Twitter's policy.
That's it. So it's fraud. It's unfair. It's fraud. It's unfair trade practices that did that to us too. Facebook, they take your money, you build up this big thing, you send all the traffic to it, and then they just blow it all away and use what they told you to do, just like they told the Russians with that ad package for the election. Cover guns, cover Black Lives Matter. Russians only spent a few $100,000. They wanted them to spend millions. All these different media outlets, RT, were trying to spend money. And then they use what they told Twitter to, RT to do as the proof of Russian bots, Stephen.
I've never been told anything by Facebook. I don't know about the Russia situation. I know that here's what I know about Russia. I know that nearly every time I read about Russia in the news, the next day I read that the story wasn't true. So I've tuned it out. I don't care about Russia anymore. That's where I am with Russia. I don't know about anyone else. I'd say tweet me and let me know it as Crowder, but they can't.
Well, let me ask you this question. They're really scared of you because the young people love you. That's what it's all about. I mean, I'm not kidding. All the public schools I go to, because my children are in school, but then they play on other teams, even though they're in a private school. And I go to high schools and middle schools, and it's like Elvis arrived, and then they're like, we love Steven Crowder, we love Gavin McInnes, we love Paul Watson. And then I talk to these young people when my daughter has 4 or 5 of her friends over that go to public school, and they go, who is CNN? Who is Anderson Cooper? Who's Oprah Winfrey? But they know who Steven Crowder is, and they're wanting pictures with me, and their dad's coming to pick them up wanting pictures with me. That's why the media's scared, because they only got the old people.
Right.
Why is that, Steven?
Well, first off, I really appreciate it. I'm glad, and might I suggest better public schooling, because I don't want kids watching my stuff. I'm kidding, of course, but it's not for everybody. Here's the situation there, and you're right. There's a generational gap. I actually had someone who was really popular on Vine. Remember Vine say, yes. Hey, man, I really want to get into YouTube. We always said there will never be the ratings that Carson used to have because there were 3 networks. Now we're back to it. YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime. And they're scared of it. Now we're back to a few major networks on the dial, and people like me are at the top of that dial, and they've got some controlling to do.
That's right. They're absolutely crapping their britches. There is a war. It's happening now. It will decide the fate of humanity. The time to choose sides has come. We are the resistance. We are the InfoWar. You've got Twitter, you've got YouTube banning the video. We just showed you some of it. Ridiculous. Leanne, you found his gender from this gender fluidity conference. I didn't get the name right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the gender fluidity, which is, you know, that's why they just let this guy in and they hear Sven Computer out, because there's so many different genders. They don't even know perhaps there really is this computer gender. I knew I would find it if I just looked through this list, the complete list of all genders. And Sven Computer is video gender. Video gender is a gender that feels too robotic, technological to be classified by human standards. Note, this gender is for the use of any robotic, mechanical kin types only.
So that's kind of like Asperger's. And so this is like a new religion, basically. So look, you should sue. They were
bigoted against you.
They were bigoted against your robot cohort.
Your video gender.
You know what's funny is I'm the last guy who wants to get into any of this. I'm a late night host and comedian. I mean, I'm not even, I'm not even a radio guy. I'm a comedian. I started out as a comedian. We do a late night show. Really, I grew up my whole life watching early Letterman. That was me. My dad used to record it on the VHS, so I'd get to watch the top 10 list and he'd fast forward the too naughty parts, And I remember then as I grew up and I realized that every single one of these people was far, far left. And I was going, man, it would be great to be able to watch late night and not get sucker punched. That's all. I don't even want it to be political. I'd say 80% of our content isn't political. I'm just open about my views. It's a late night entertainment show. I don't want to sue anybody. I don't want to have to deal with the Twitter police and the YouTube violations. This was a guy going in as a, I didn't even know that was a gender. This is very enlightening, but it's hysterical to me. Probably someone out there could file a class action lawsuit for discriminating against, what was it? What was it called? Video gender?
Video gender. Video gender.
But video is specific because, I mean, I don't think 4K, not beta gender.
Hey, what's the one where you have sex with appliances in cars? Guys, we have that in there. What's that thing called? There's there's all these other churches. This is just another church of what the genders are. So how are we going to have all these competing groups, Steven Crowder, battling for who has the official? Will we have gender wars with all the left over who, how many genders there really are? Mecrophilia or mechanophilia.
Mecrophilia is what's called?
Mechanophilia.
But do you see, I mean, how many genders will there be? It's already into hundreds and hundreds. And will the competing groups have wars, Stephen, over what is the proper Bible?
I have no idea. We used to joke about it. We would say LGBTQ, AAIP, and the number 2. And then my prime minister from Canada, I was raised in Canada, born in Detroit, by the way, before people say that I need to be booted. I was born in Detroit, but raised in Canada. So my prime minister of my other homeland, Canada, Justin Trudeau, actually publicly apologized to the LGBTQ and two-spirited community. There needs to be a number 2 in there. This isn't a joke anymore. And it's so utterly, I don't even know what two-spirited is. I still don't know what it is. And the prime minister of one of the biggest countries in the free world apologized to the two-spirited community. To me, I just want to be able to laugh at it. Think about this, right? You're a late night show. If you go back, I don't know, 10, 20 years, you go back to Carson, they were joking about Nixon, they were joking about what was going on in the culture. You have to joke about what's happening. This is what's happening now. LGBTQ two-spirited.
And you couldn't even have Richard Pryor. You couldn't even have Eddie Murphy today. You couldn't do anything. And that's what it is. It's clogging culture. It's shutting down speech. It's dividing everybody. All right, Steven Crowder, louderwithcrowder.com, all the great work you're doing on CRTV, everywhere else. I know you're going to mount some major legal announcements on the 22nd up at SMU in Dallas.
Yes, at SMU, a live show. My half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond, will be there, and we have some announcements to make. The show's almost full, but you can still get in if you are a Mug Club member.
All right, Steven Crowder. Leanne, any final comments?
No, but thank you for thoroughly entertaining us continually.
They just violated the rights of the video genders. That was it called?
Video gender.
It's like Videodrome, Cronenberg movie. Thank you so much, Mr. Crowder.
Thank you, sir.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.